21 years ago, standing him and our other friend that's in it, John, not here, but he's they were standing out front of my home one day talking about wrestling. I just happened to jump in the conversation, and as the rest of today's history, we became friends off of that. In the late 90s, we legitimately would skip school. We would all go to school, meet up, skip school, go back to my house, and wrestle on my parents' living room floor. That's where it started.
I think it was pain just thinking about that.
Oh, yeah, especially when Mike dropped in his neck by accident.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how we met. We met just talking about wrestling. It's always been our passion, something we've always wanted to do. And we're hoping to make that dream become a reality within the next year or so.
And Sean is one of your wrestlers, correct?
Yes.
Go ahead, Sean. You can chime in.
Yeah, chime in.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thanks. Hi, my name's Sean. I used to be part of a backyard wrestling group way back when, probably 6 or 7 years ago. And I met up with Craig and Sean actually on Facebook. I came across their organization based off of a search because I wanted to get back into it. And their organization popped up. I started talking to Sean at first. He introduced me to Craig. We all met up last night at the Dynasty Pro Wrestling event.
Yes, we did.
And, now it's just, we're trying to get our foot in the door and make UWO a fantastic organization. And that's pretty much where we are right now.
So what goes into starting a wrestling company from scratch?
Where do you start?
Where to start?
Money is the major thing. Revenue. You have to have money to come in and invest in it. Then you have to find a building. Then you have to either lease it, buy it. Right? Then you have to go for all the proper permits for the New York State Athletic Commission to be like a promoter, booker, and other. I think there's a couple other licenses in there. We've already found that we have to do the applications for it.
We've got to go through trainers' licenses and all this stuff.
But clearly, the main thing is starting a wrestling company from the ground up, as he said, like from scratch, with obviously money.
Yep.
That's what it's going to take. A lot
as soon
of
as we get the money, then we'll get all our other stuff that comes along with it, with the permits, the licenses, trained professionally, and being licensed to train professionally also.
Yes.
Are you guys looking for investors, or you already started that process, or?
We're actually going to start looking around for investors.
We're going to be in the process of looking for investors, yes.
We would like to try to find it, or start getting sponsors and stuff like that after, we build a name and stuff.
Yeah, that's our next step. We're going to look at investors.
And are you guys going to be training wrestlers as well?
Yes, we are.
Yes. We're not only also going to be the owners, we are also going to be two of the trainers.
Well, basically what this company is going to entail is it's going to be two things. One is it's going to be a training facility on top of being an actual run company. So basically once everybody is properly trained, then, we'll say 6 months to a year, then we'll start putting on shows, and within that time, when we put on shows, we're still going to be training like talent to appear. So it's going to be like a combination of the two. We're going to train people how to wrestle, and we're also going to be, putting on shows and events and everything.
Yeah.
And Michael, one other thing about the us training future talent, 6 months is just so they can get a feel, and because training never stops.
Oh no, you're always learning every day.
I feel like a year, they'd be a lot more comfortable than they would in 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And the number one thing with starting a company too, other than gathering investors and advertising, which we've been advertising a lot. I know I've been reaching out to friends and former wrestlers of the backyard wrestling I was involved in and ran for a while. But you have to be in love with the sport, and not just the sport of wrestling. You have to be in love with the business, and you're going to lose more at first than what you gain, but you'll slowly get on a train and figure out what it takes to be a good business owner. And once we get our foot in the door and we get more employees, we will take the Hopefully we would outsource some of the training, still in the company, but not Craig and Sean because they're going to have a lot on their plate.
Where have you guys trained?
Us, we haven't trained anywhere. We pretty much
basically home trained ourselves.
Yeah, we pretty much just went off the fly a lot.
Yeah. And go back and watch some of the YouTube videos we've done, like not like the beginning ones, because honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, the early ones stunk.
Yeah, those stunk.
But as you watch from the beginning till where we ended 5 years ago, you could see we progressed on our own. I mean, granted, all we had was a mattress and a floor to train off of, but we started incorporating more maneuvers and starting to, wrestle a little bit better and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I also use a lot of my background that I have.
Yes, he has a pretty good background too. So.
And incorporated that with the wrestling also, which actually helped me a lot.
Yeah, majorly. It did.
For myself, I have a weightlifting background, and I have believe it or not, a jiu-jitsu background. Yeah, and so the organization I was in and ran, we had one of our wrestlers there who trained with a couple of the 2CW guys.
Okay.
So not only did, you learn from doing, and no matter what you do, stock investing to painting to plumbing, you learn what you do. And so I'm self-taught as well, although I had help from one of our talent from XCWF. He was involved with 2CW.
Nice. That even helps out better too.
Yep. Yeah, you guys are all well aware I'm a small guy, so I don't really wrestle much. But I've watched enough of it where you can also learn just by watching the television. You can learn and see how they do. I mean, case in point, last night we were at Dynasty. We got a closer view of how it's actually done.
Yeah.
You can see how they do the maneuvers and up close and in person. You can also learn off of doing that as well.
A lot of them I've actually used myself.
Yes.
And Sean, you've had an organization before. Have you wrestled for that organization?
Of course, yeah. I wrestled. I ran and wrestled, and it's both difficult to do.
And were you wrestling as clowns at that point?
Yeah, I was wrestling as clowns. We had a couple trampolines set up in my best friend's backyard. And back then, entry into college and finishing high school, you meet a lot of people, and same thing, you find people that are in love with what you do, and you network with them, and you have a family to fall back on,
Somebody looking to train to wrestle, why should they choose you guys to train with? What do you bring to the table that's different?
Pretty much, we're going to bring originality. We're going to let you pretty much be yourself. We're not going to tell you what to do, but we're going to watch you very closely to make sure you're doing it right. And we are also going to make sure that you can...
You're cut out for it.
Yeah, like you're cut out for it, pretty much.
Well, basically what we're also going to do, too, which would be like, as to go into Sean's point of being original, is I'm not going to be like other companies and just give somebody a character. I want the input from the wrestlers or the future wrestlers to be, okay, I want your character to be.
We want you to
incorporate this. What moveset do you want to have? What kind of entrance? I don't want to be like the pushy owner, but like, okay, well, you look like this guy, so we're going to be like this gimmick or this character. I don't want to do that. I want the input from the future, our future stars. That I want our talent to have a say in what they want to do with their character.
We want you to pretty much develop yourself.
Yes, we want you to develop yourself. We don't want to say, okay, you should be this guy's spearhead. Oh, we want you to develop yourself.
So pretty much,
like case in point, Sean has already established his clown. If he wants to go with that is fine.
Yeah, that's his.
I don't have a problem with it. He can show us how he does his entrance or his wrestling style, whatever. That is fine. I want that input and I want that feedback. I want to be the boss to like, well, you want to do this, but no, for you, we're going to give you this character instead, whether you like it or not. I've seen hundreds of people in 23 years that I've watched professional wrestling leave companies because they were tired of their characters. Yeah. And they put their input in, and the bosses, the powers to be, they didn't want to change it. Case in point, perfect example, Cody Rhodes. Hated Stardust gimmick. Hated.
Yes, he did.
Begged and pleaded to go back to Cody. Nope. What do? He left and made a better name for himself on the independent scene. So yeah, that's basically what we're trying to do. want our people to develop their own characters. We're not going to be like, okay, you like this and you do that or do this. You know, it's like whatever your character you feel, that's what I like.
Yeah.
So are you looking for a more homegrown trained talent, or will you take bookings from other independent stars?
We want to actually grow our own.
We want a homegrown talent. This is going to make us different from all the rest.
Yes, it would be good to have experienced established wrestlers. We could use them like as training tools that could actually help us.
Maybe help us
the wrestlers.
Yeah.
Because they've already established themselves, as they say, and they can bring a lot to the table.
Yes.
And who are your prospects right now? Any students coming up that you know of, or are you still working on that?
Nobody in particular. We always keep an eye out. And
nobody in particular right now.
Yeah, nobody in particular.
Kind of like in the scouting process, kind of just like looking at.
We've had people message us on the UWO site inquiring, and once again, I've been reaching out to the old talent that I used to wrestle with, and everybody seems interested, but it just takes time and it takes negotiation. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, Sean and Craig, they want to run it how they want to run it, which is, it's totally fine. And a lot of people don't, they don't know Craig and Sean. They don't know, they just know what wrestling is, and from what I used to do, it's going to be 10 times better. The organization I ran was XTWS, and it was a great organization. The only thing is it lacked what Sean and Craig can bring to it. And we had numerous views on our videos. We've had people show up, not just from our school, but people. They see this going on in the backyard, and they're like, hey, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? What are they doing? What are they doing with their life?
Yeah, exactly. What the hell's going on here? Yeah.
You're walking by and some kid's getting hit in the face with a chair. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to cheer or to, call the police.
What did I just say? What? Right.
But the thing with Craig and Sean is that, they're so in love with wrestling, and that they're so, they have motivation and they have what it takes to actually lead something. The problem is just trying to get it going. The startup is always the hardest part.
Yeah, exactly.
So our goal, I can pretty much say, is our goal is the first thing to do. You got to get that ring, and then we got to focus on a warehouse or some type of structure to house this. Yeah, we can have a ring in the backyard, but for how long? How long is that really going to pass for?
True. Yeah.
And then
that now is the game plan for next year. Now. Yep. To get a backyard for now, unless something keeps for the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And you can put a tarp over it during the winter, but how much damage is it really doing?
Yeah, it's true. It's going to do a lot of damage sitting out there under the tarp. You're right.
So anyway, that's our. I want to speak for all of us. Say that's kind of our startup, is to get our name out there more and get some recognition.
Yep.
Purchase this ring because that's a big cost too, And then as we're doing this, of course, we are looking for a warehouse of sorts to house this.
What requirements do you have to meet for like the New York State Athletic Commission?
Well, basically, I've already reached out to them. They've sent me copies of the applications we have to fill. We have to do as we said earlier, we have to do like a promoter's license, booker's license, stuff like that to actually do this kind of stuff. And then every time we put out a show, we have to have like medical staff, ambulance, like EMTs in case somebody gets hurt, that kind of stuff. So like the bigger stuff, we've already like researched, and I've already been in touch with people. So just we gotta get the application process going, get that filled out. Whatever the cost, I forgot what the cost of it is, but we got to pay that out of pocket, get that going to get the required licenses to get this thing going. So I think it's what we're going to work on next.
The thing is, Mike, without having a proper startup, maybe we can look as far as doing a Kickstarter for UWO. We can do a couple things because, everybody has a 9 to 5 job, but within that 9 to 5 job, I know I can barely make ends meet with a regular 9 to 5 job. So if you're barely making